As states like New York and California have mandated vaccines for their employees and Biden ponders the same for federal employees and the military, let's revisit a time when America's first president did similar. During the 1770s, as the American Revolution was beginning, Britain was not the 13 colonies' only enemy. There was also the smallpox epidemic. Highly contagious, the symptoms lasted 1 month, including body aches, high fevers, sores all over the body, while killing roughly 30% of its victims. Some Americans, like John Adams, even compared the deadly nature of this disease to their perceived nature of other human beings. He wrote, "The smallpox is 10 times more terrible than Britons, Canadians, and Indians together." In 1751, a 19-year-old George Washington fell sick to smallpox for an entire month. This first-hand lived experience made him aware of how serious a threat to debilitating the army the virus was. So in 1975, during the Boston Siege, on his second day as general of the Continental Army, George Washington ordered a strict quarantine of smallpox victims from all those not affected. The containment strategy proved successful as it helped lead to the colony's victory at this opening stage of the Revolution. But as the war continued on, smallpox continued to grow with it. So Washington next looked to his time period's version of vaccination, called variolation. This controversial procedure involved exposing patients to a small amount of the virus via arm incisions in order to develop immunity, but also had a 3 to 10% mortality rate, a 1-month recovery frame, and colonial class issues that provided the wealthy with the ability to receive the inoculation, while often leaving the poor without one. Combined with additional fears that the procedure would further spread the virus, many colonies outlawed variolation, including the Continental Congress prohibiting it from the Army. Still, Washington persisted. On February 6, 1777, he mandated the inoculation of the entire Continental Army, stating, "Necessity not only authorizes but seems to require the measure. For should the disorder infect the army, we should have more to dread from it than from the sword of the enemy." By the end of 1777, 40,000 soldiers were inoculated. This helped drop the smallpox infection rate from 17 to 1%. That then helped trigger colonies beginning to repeal their bans on variolation. In 1796, a smallpox vaccine was developed. It differed from variolation in that it exposed patients to the much milder cowpox virus. This safer procedure would eventually lead to the eradication of smallpox in 1980, still the only infectious disease to have ever been eradicated. George Washington initiated the first compulsory inoculation campaign in American history, and that decision impacted the outcome and lasting results of the American Revolution. As American institutions today make decisions on COVID vaccination mandates, it too will yield results lasting long past tomorrow.